Here, yesterday we were looking into the SDLC process. See, when you just enter into a company, right? Each and every company, when they are going to develop any project, right? So they want to follow one set of uh, software development lifecycle models. So each and every project, they may have different. They may follow different models will be there. So as I have said, like yesterday, we have seen about waterfall model and even RAD model, spiral model, B model. All these models are available. In these models, right, drastically used models means one is waterfall model, which is used for long period. So even like so most of the companies they are following this waterfall model. So but nowadays it got reduced. Almost this waterfall models has been replaced with a new model called agile model. So if you go to any IT industry in nowadays, right, you just ask them what is the model they are following. They used to say that they are using this agile model only. So nowadays all the companies started following agile models. So I will let you know what is agile model and how the agile model is like we are just moving forward with the agile models. See, when it comes to the agile model, right, it is nothing but it is a combination of this incremental model and iterative model. So we no need to see this incremental model and iterative model separately, even though if we have gone through that also. So agile model is the one which is going to play a major role in nowadays. Like, okay.
Yeah.
See, actually, yesterday we have seen about waterfall model, right? How the waterfall model is. And if you see here, even though we have a lot of other models also, the people preferred one, like the highlighted models. If you take, right, one is waterfall model is the one which has been used for a long period. The next model which was drastically used is V model. Some set of companies preferred V model. And nowadays, in the existing in the existing market, if you go to any company, if you ask them what is the model they preferred, means they used to say that the agile model only, because every company is following agile model. They are going to call it as a agile methodology or agile model. So this agile model is the combination of this incremental model and iterative model. So this both the models has been combined, and they have brought up the model called agile model. So that is the reason nowadays it's agile is very drastically used. Okay. Even right nowadays, if you go to any IT industry, they are going to call them. They are going to follow the agile model only. So rarely nowadays, like they are the other models are has been rarely used in some of the companies. Depends. See how they are going to choose the model. Yesterday I have told you. So based on so many constraints. So they are just going to consider the customer requirements, how the customer is providing the requirements. So and how what are the resources that we have, and what are the rules that we need to follow, and some set of conditions and constraints are there. Based on that, we are just the companies are going to choose this particular SDLC models. Yes, we got it right. In that, yesterday we have seen about waterfall model, how the waterfall model looks like. In this, do anyone has any doubts in the waterfall model? I just want your interactions also. So if we are just going to be more interactive, then it's going to be more like you will be in a like you are in the right direction. That's what my opinion is. See, did you got what is waterfall model, everyone?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, fine. Then no problem. So, see, this waterfall model is preferred by so many companies. Okay. So, if you go to this each and every section of this requirement gathering, system designing, I've just given the descriptions. What are the things that yesterday I have just described, right? So, those things I've just given in this document. I'm just going to share this document also to you people. Okay. See here in the requirement gathering, all possibility requirements of the system to be developed are captured in this phase and documented in a requirement specification document. So what is the, how the system needs to be developed? So that all the requirements, all the specifications, they are going to documented in a proper manner. That document, they are going to call it as a requirement specification document. So in this, they are going to prepare one of the document. Already they may get some requirements from the customer. Customer can give his requirement in any manner. Like he can just provide the requirement in a single word, or otherwise he can provide some set of points wise they may provide. So their requirements may be in any manner. But we write in the requirement phase, we are just going to prepare a proper requirement specification document. What is the exact requirement of the customer and how we want to develop it from our end. That we are just going to be more clarity. We are just going to be more clear on that particular things here. Okay. Then in the next phase called system design phase, the requirement specification from first phase are studied in this phase and system design is prepared. That means whatever the requirements that has been shared, that requirement specification document they have prepared, right? That requirement document specification documents will be read thoroughly by this system design phase by the architecture. Who and all the people they are going to involve in this system design phase means, one is the development architecture will involve here, development leads will be involved, and the project managers and some set of team members are going to get involved in this system design phase. So these people are going to read the documents which is provided by this requirement phase, and they are going to make sure that they are going to make sure that they will be able to design the system, and they are going to confirm that what are all the hardwares that is required for developing this software, what are the software requirements that are needed in this for developing these softwares, and also they are going to design the overall system architecture. The architecture is going to design the overall system in this particular design phase. And also they are going to prepare the document called system design documentation. They are going to prepare the document called system design documentation. So this phase, from this phase, what is the output? It's going to be system design documentation. Design documentation. In the first phase, we have requirement specification documentation. So this is the output of the first phase. Second phase is this is the another document. In addition to that, they are going to have the system also. They are going to design the what is the exact coding, how the coding should be developed, what is the structure of the development code. All those things it is going to be designed by the architecture. Okay. Here system architecture is the development architect is going to involve here, who is going to prepare these kind of informations. Okay. Next one is implementation. Here the real developers comes into the picture. With the inputs from the system design, the system is first developed in small programs called units. They are going to develop the small programs. See, they cannot develop the complete complete project attesters, correct? So they want to take some, they want to break the entire requirements into some set of bits and pieces. So in that system design phase itself, they are going to take some set of small tasks or units, and they are going to develop that particular tasks or units first. Okay. So small number of they are going to develop the small programs based on that particular corresponding small requirements. So which are integrated in the next phase. So that small requirements and all, it is going to be developed in this development phase, and that is going to be integrated in the next phase called integration phase. Okay, each unit is developed and tested for its functionality, which is referred to as unit testing. See, they are going to develop each and every unit, means small uh, tasks. They are going to develop small tasks and they are going to test it by themselves. Developers, who is going to test here? Developers are going to test themselves, either all the given functionalities are working fine or not. So that kind of development related testings they are going to do means we are just going to call them as unit testing. We are just going to call them as unit testing. You got it right? So here the unit testing will be done by the development team, not by the testing team. You are getting this point. See, you want to record these particular things. Here, unit testing is going to be done by this development team. That's what in the implementation, like they are going to develop some set of small tasks and they are going to test that and they are going to release for the next level to the testers, test engineers. So here the developer has developed the code, small codes, and they are going to provide that small code to this test engineers. That means QA people are going to get involved. So here the QA, we are just going to come into the QA people are going to come into this particular area. They are going to involve here. So we as a QA team, we are going to get the task which has been developed, some set of units which has been developed by the development team. And we are just going to integrate, like we are just going to test that particular things separately. And as well as after integrating all the units, all the small tasks which has been developed by the development team, after integrating all these things, we are just going to do a complete testing. See here, all the units developed in the implementation phase are integrated into the system after testing of each units. You are just getting this point. So post integration, the entire system is tested for any faults and failures. So see here, and once after integrating, we are just going to, as a QA team, we are just going to test the system and we are just going to make sure that if there is any after integration, how the system is working fine or not, or we will be finding out some set of faults or failures in the system. You are getting this point. So we are just going to identify what are the mistakes or what are the drawbacks of the software which has been developed by this software development team. So we are just going to identify some set of failures or faults, such kind of things, which we are just going to call them as, either you can just call them as an issues. Issues or defects. What is meant by defects or issues here? That is nothing but if the software is not properly working as per our expectation, then we are just going to call them as either a bug or issue or defects. So we as a test engineers or QA team, we are just going to find these particular things in our process, correct? So till now it's clear, right? Whatever the things that we have discussed.
Yeah.
Okay,
yes.
Thank you. So next, see, once we have done our, our responsibility is what? We will be getting the developed software, that small pieces of software, or otherwise after integration, we may get that software. So that may be anything. We should be ready to test small pieces of software, and after integration is nothing but we are just going to combine the bits and pieces into a large system, correct? So that integration is going to happen. So after integration, we are just going to test and we are just going to find the bugs. If all the bugs, if we are going to identify the bugs, then we are just going to report that bugs to this development team, implementation team, saying that, hey boss, this particular software is not working because of these particular issues or bugs. So we have observed these issues in the given software which has been developed. Please try to fix those issues. That's what we are just going to communicate the same thing. We are just going to send these corresponding issues to these people, development people. The developers, they again want to check the code and they want to fix all the bugs or issues which has been reported by us. Correct? So once they have fixed, again, we are just going to do the retesting, revalidation is going to happen by our QA team. Once we feel that this system is working fine without any faults or failures. One second. One second, just a minute. Okay, sorry. See here, this we are just going to we as a test engineers, like once we feel that there is no faults or bugs that are available in the system, then we are just going to move it to the next phase called development phase. Here, sorry, deployment phase. Deployment is nothing but we are saying that there is this software is bug-free software. So we have tested it thoroughly and we can release it to the customer. That's what we are just going to make sure, and you are just going to give the sign off. Here, as a QA team member, you want to give the sign off for that particular software. Then only after your approval or sign off only, it is going to deployed into the customer environment. That is called a live environment. It will go to the next phase. So here the deployment, see, once the functional and non-functional team is done, the non-functional testing is done. See, here, what is meant by a functional testing and non-functional testing? I just told you, I think. Functional testing is nothing but the system functionalities. So how the system should behave, that functionality is working fine or not. If you are just going to validate such kind of functionalities of the system, then it is going to call that functional testing. Non-functional testing means what? Non-functional testing is nothing but, see, here, for example, they are going to say that my application is going to used by some 5,000 people. Okay, then if the 5,000 people are parallelly using, the system performance should not get changed. That means nowhere the system should get compromised. Means if the 5,000 people are using, means some websites will be there. More than 200, 300 people are using that website, means automatically it is going to become slow, right? So such kind of slowness and all, they should not feel. If you are going to do such kind of testings and all, means, so for this, some separate testing tools and all is there, like load runner. And so like this, we have you are just going to increase the load of the system, and you are just going to check either the system performance is stable or not. So such kind of testings and all, if you are just going to do, means that comes under the non-functional testing. So here, is it clear for you regarding this functional testing and non-functional testing? If you don't understand, please question me also. Like, I'll just give some examples if required.
Can you please repeat again?
Pardon?
Can you please tell me again?
Right. See here. See, functional testing means what? It's nothing but, see, for example, I'm just, one second, I'm just going to share my like pane. See here, there is a login screen is there.
Mm-hmm.
So here, username is there. And here, one of the text box is there. And password is there. And here, there is another text box is there. And there is going to be one login button will be there. Correct? So here, when I'm just going to give the correct username and password and clicking on this particular login button, this should take me to the next page called home page. Like I'm just going to say that, for example, I'm saying, so next page, I'm just going to call it as a home page. Home page. So this is actually, we have two home pages will be there here. So you think that I'm having two home page. One is here I have two roles are there, two roles. So there is an employee role is there. See, for example, this is a company website. So in this company website, employee role will be there, HR role will be there, for example. So when the employee is going to log in, so you think that this is an employee homepage. This is an HR homepage. So if employee is going to log in here, this login page, when the employee clicked on the login button, that should take him to the employee homepage. If the HR is going to log in here, then this should take him to the HR homepage. This is our functionality, right? So this kind of things and all, we are just going to call them as a functionalities. So how the system should behave. So like if employee logs in, it should go to the employee homepage. If HR log in to the system, it should go to the HR homepage. So when the HR is going to log in, it should not go to the employee homepage. Employee homepage it may be in different manner. HR homepage may be like, see, for example, employees will be having some set of restrictions. They will be having only read-only access only will be there for some set of information related stuff. But HR, if HR logs in, right, they will be able to edit lot of information, correct or not?
Yeah, but I have a question. It's automatically got login by a employer, or how it got
See,
login?
that validations and all, it is going to be done by the development team. See, when they are going to check the username and password. See, already.
Okay.
See, already in the database, they will be having. So yesterday I told you, right, there are front end screens will be there and back end will be there. So here they will be having some set of in the database. They are going to have the data like this. For example, employee ID will be there.
Okay. So it recognizes the employer name and password.
Employee name will be there. And also username will be there, password will be there. Okay. So here, what is the username that is available here? So if he is an employee, means here for the employee also, like HR also is one of the employee only. But for HR people, we are just going, their department ID will be there. Department ID will be there. Department ID. So if he is an HR, he will be having a code called HR1 or something. Okay. Some set of another field also will be there with this username and password. We may have either a employee or HR we will be having one of the column here. In that column, so in that column, right, we are just going to have like this information which you have just provided only username and password. So this username and password is going to check in this database table. So if that username and password is going to match, then only it is going to the corresponding homepage. If we want to take it to the homepage means, so it will check for the code, either he is an employee or HR. So if he is an employee means, it will take him to the employee homepage. If it is an HR means, it will take him to the. So this logic and all, you no need to bother. This logic and all, already the developers are writing these particular logics. But what is our role? What exactly we want to do here is, we want to make sure that when so you take an employee username and password and you provide it here, username, password, and click on the login button. So you want to validate either this is taking you to the corresponding employee homepage or not. If you take HR username and password, and when you are just going to provide, see, as a test engineer, they are going to provide you the multiple usernames and passwords for testing purpose. Okay, they will provide you the employee username and passwords, HR username and passwords. You are going to get lot of username and passwords for testing. Okay, testing and validating. Okay, so using that, you are just going to validate either it's properly going to the corresponding page or not. So is it clear? So these kind of things and all, if you are just going to validate means, these things we are going to call them as a functionality of the system, how the system should work. So when clicking on login button as an employee homepage should launch. When clicking on the login button as an HR page should be launched. Or otherwise, if I'm just going to give some wrong username and wrong password and click on the login button, it should fail and show the one of the error message saying that your username or password is wrong. So this is also one kind of the functionalities. This and everything is, if we are just going to call giving wrong username and password and clicking on login button, it should give the wrong username and password pop-up. Or otherwise, if you are providing correct username and password as an employee, it should take you to the employee homepage. If you are providing a correct username with the HR username and password and clicking on the login button, it should take you to the HR homepage. Right? So these kind of things and all, if you are just going to test in the system means, that comes under the functional testings. Why we came here? So I'm just explaining about functional, what is meant by functional testing. Functionality of the system. If you are just going to test this kind of functionalities of the system. For example, I have shown you one thing. So still there are a lot of things. In the home page, if you click on one of the link, that link should take you to the another page. And there is an employee registration screen is there. Means if you are just going to provide all the details and click on save button, it should save all the employee informations. So like this, there will be some set of functionalities and all will be there. If you take one application. So for example, if you take Amazon website, I think so maybe you are new, right? That is the reason it will be it will take some time to understand these things. So is it okay? Fine.
Yeah, we are getting.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, good. So now you understood what is functional testing. Now I'm just moving on to the non-functional testing. See, what is non-functional testing here? See, for example, we have developed one of the website here. So for example, you take demo.nop. It is a e-commerce website. Okay, this is one of the e-commerce website. See, now this e-commerce website, actually, they have released, it was into the live. Now, if they are going to say that, for example, 100 people are using this. 100 people are using this website. 100 people are using this website. At that time, see, maybe after 5 minutes, right, you will be automatically, your link will go down. at that time you want to rejoin once again. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, fine. See, for example, you have developed an application. Okay, some e-commerce application. So in this e-commerce application, they have completed the development means now you started with one user. So one user, you just log into the system and check how the performance of the system is. That means how the performance means what? Performance means what? See, if I go and click on this register button, it should get very much fast. So when I click on some other buttons, login button, it should bring up the everything. See, now I'm just getting within a fraction of seconds. So there is no issues. See, even if I'm just going to increase the people from 1 person to 100 people, 100 persons, then also this performance, this speed should not get reduced. You are able to understand the speed of the system or performance of the system. System should not get reduced. You understand, right? So these kind of testings and all, you want to increase to 100%. Then you want to increase to 200%. So you like that, you are just going to increase some, like maybe what they told 5,000 people are going to work, for example. So you are just going to increase till the 500 persons and you are just going to check the system performance. Check the system speed. So it is going to, for even 500 people, parallelly they have opened this link and they are doing some activities, means at that time also for 500 people, the system should not go down or slow, or we should not get any errors. So nothing should get happen here. So that type of testings and all, we are just going to call them as a non-functional testing. It is not related to functionality. It is related to performance, speed, load related stuff. So that kind of things and all, it comes under non-functional testing. Is it clear now?
Yes.
Okay, fine. Thank you. So here, see this, after these kind of functional testing and non-functional testing and all, we as a test engineers, we are going to do this. Okay. So most probably here functional testing, all the test engineers are going to perform the things, but non-functional testing, right? So for that, we as a manual test engineers cannot do this non-functional testing. For this non-functional testing, there is a separate teams will be there in the testing itself. Then some non-functional testers are going to be comes into the picture. So those peoples are going to use some set of tools called load runner, and maybe some set of other tools are there actually. So these kind of non-functional testings and all going to be done by that particular people. Okay. So we are just almost going to get involved in the functional testing part only. Okay. So we will be involved most probably in the functional testing part. Once after completing all this testings, right? So we are just going to release it to the customers. That release is called deployment. What is meant by deployment in the sense? So deployment means what? See, deployment is nothing but already this developer has developed the code. It will be there in his local. And if we want to test, the developer is going to provide the same developed software or code to us and it is going to be deployed. First, actually, I'll just let you know. See how the process is going to be means. Here, the development team is going to develop the software. Development team is going to develop this software. They are going to develop the software or code. So once this code has been developed by this development team, they are going to either change it as some of the exe files. Exe files is nothing but it's an executable files. We are just going to call them as an executable files. So once the software has been developed, so as they are going to provide this as an exe file or they are going to provide the code. So and that code is going to be hosted or deployed in one of the server. So server. Initially, we are just going to host it in the testing server. Testing server. That means, so here, the code which has been developed that will be hosted. We are just going to call them as an hosted in the QA server. We are just going to call them as a QA server or testing server. Hosting means what? It's nothing but deploying. Either the term we are just going to call as deploying the code or hosting the code or moving the code from local to server for testing purpose. So is it clear? See, hosting, like they are going to develop the code and they are going to add that code or move that code to the server. In this server, we as a test engineers or QA people, test engineers or QA, we are just going to test the application in this server only. So from this server, we are just going to get one of the link that is called URL. We are just going to call that as a URL or link. So using that link, we are just going to test this application. Correct? So if you want this particular, if you want to test this website, right? You want to get this particular link, this URL. This one, we are just going to call it as an URL or link. So if you are just going to get this particular thing here, so you are just after hosting it in the server, so you will be getting this particular link for the testing. So who is going to test here? We as a QA team is going to test. What we are just going to test using this link, we are just going to log into this system and we are going to register, click on the registered and we are just going to check the registration functionalities. The registration is happening properly or not. After registration is done, login, we are able to log in into the system or not. So if it is a search screen is there, so if I'm just going to search for laptop in this, when I click on the search button, it is taking me to the corresponding search screen or not. So here, what are the available laptops that is available in this website? I can just go and buy this. So like this, you may check some set of functionalities. These functionalities and all, you will be checking once after moving this code, which has been developed by this development team to the testing server. So this one, either you can call them as a moving the code or hosting in the server or deploying in the server. So we are just going to call it as a 3 names. Once you have tested, you have completed your testing in this testing server, you are just going to give the green signal and to move the same code which is available in this server to the customer environment. That is called customer server. So, or we are just going to call them as a live server or customer server, live server or customer server, or otherwise it's going to be the deploy. We are just going to call it as a deployment into live server or customer server. So once you have deployed the same exe files or code or software into this particular customer server, means from here only the real persons, real customer people are going will start executing. So will start using this particular website. They will start using this website. So that is called a deployment. Is it clear in this point?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. So this that is called deployment of the system. It is going to be done after once we have confirmed, then only they are going to deploy the thing into the live server. Next one is, once the deployment and the customer, we have hosted it into the live server, and the customers started using that application. Once the customer has started using that, then it is next phase is nothing but maintenance phase, where some of the customers are going to find some set of issues or otherwise changes. So after moving to the real environment only, sometimes we may not face some of the issues in our environment and all. So after going to the live environment, release it to the customers are able to face some kind of issues. That kind of issues and all, we want to fix, and then again we want to release it. So that kind of things and all, it will be happened at the maintenance phase. In additional to that, so some enhancements means what? They may come up with, hey boss, already you have given this application, you have developed very good, but in addition to that, right, I want some other additional features in this website. So I want to see who are all the customers working parallelly. I want to see it in here, or otherwise I want to post some of the news in this particular web page. So such kind of additional related informations and all, they are going to come up with some set of enhancement. So enhancements is nothing but additional information is required in that website. If they are going to come up with that, means we are just going to do that test, we are just going to do again, we are going to develop the required enhancements, and we are just going to release those things. These kind of things and all, it is going to be done in the maintenance part, in the maintenance section. So it's clear, right? Now I have just explained you the entire life cycle, what we are just following inside the companies, inside the software industry. So is it clear, right?
Yes.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
So see, now the waterfall, there are a lot of advantages and disadvantages and all it's there in the waterfall model. So when it comes to the advantages, right, it is simple and easy to understand and use. Actually, this model is, and easy to manage due to rigid of the models. That means each phase has specific deliverables and a review process is going to get happen. So that is the reason then and there, if there is any drawbacks, means we are just going to fix it in the requirement phase itself. So see, in some places, what happened means initially the customer will give the requirements, but that requirement is not correct, means without document, if they are going to develop, right, without validating, they are going to start development, means in the development, they are going to get stuck. So because they will not have clear picture about the requirements which has been given by the customer. So then At that time, if you are going to spend some time, means it is going to take lot of time. It is a wastage of the resources, time also it's going to get waste. So to avoid such kind of things, so here what happened means all the requirements and all, we are just going to gather in the starting itself. So if there is like after each and everyone is going to validate the requirement from their end. So it is going to be fixed everything in the documentation phase itself. So unnecessarily resources, time and all, it's not going to get wasted in this waterfall model. So that is the major advantages here. And the phases are processed and completed one at a time. So after completing one process only, we are just going to start another phase. So it works well for small projects where requirements are very well understood. So it is very good for small kind of projects. That is not a very bigger projects and all, because for the bigger projects we will not have clear pictures about the requirements. So it is some small or medium scale projects. This waterfall model is going to get work. Here, the clearly defined the stages. Each and every stage is going to be defined very much clearly. So that is a greater advantages. Well understood milestones and easy to arrange tasks. So process the results as well documented. So everything is going to be very much documented. So no need to worry at all. In the similar way, we have some disadvantages also here. So here, no working software is produced to the customer until the later point of time. So here, see, the customer is going to, customer should wait till the entire process is going to get completed. Then only he'll be able to see the output. Till that point, like he cannot view the output. They are not going to show it to the customers. And also high amount of risk. If there is any uncertainties are going to happen, right, then there will be lot of risk is going to get involved here. Not a good model for complex and object-oriented projects. So poor models for long and ongoing projects. Poor models for long and ongoing projects are going to be there. So not suitable for the projects where requirements are at the moderate to high risk of changing. So these kind of things and all, it is there in the, like, these are all the disadvantages. Okay, you can just go through this disadvantages. If you have any questions, please let me know. Okay, now we are just going to see the next model called spiral model. See, actually, everything here afterwards, all the models are going to be based on the waterfall model. What are the things that we have seen in the waterfall model? So that phases are not going to get changed, but the phases are going to get like they are going to change based on the customer requirements. So here in the spiral model, right, it is going to look like this. See here, they have just divided the spiral model into some set of four sections. What is that? Planning section, risk analysis section, design section, and evaluation section. So in this planning section, right, specifically what they are going to do means, initially they are going to get the requirement. As usually, we are just going to get the requirement from the customer at this point. And then the customer requirements are going to be checked by the like the team, like IT team, and they are going to analyze on the requirement, and they are going to come up with some set of plans when they are going to start this project, when they are going to end this project, how much time it will take, how many resources are required. All the things are going to plan in this particular phase itself. See here, so initially here, why the spiral model came into the picture means, in the waterfall model, the lot of like the entire requirements should be provided by the customer in the initial stages itself. But when it comes to the spiral model, right, why we are just going for this spiral model means if the customer is not that much clear about the complete requirements, he is very much clear about the some set of requirements, and then that requirements we are just going to uh, only for that particular requirements which has been provided, only for that requirements we are just going to plan accordingly, and we are just going to analyze on that particular requirements, and we are just going to start our risk analysis. What is the, if we are just going to develop this kind of requirements, what is the risk it is going to involve? How much of the effort we want to just have it here. So such kind of things and all, it's going to be in this particular, like that kind of risk analysis and all we are just going to do here. So see, it is going to start from here and it is going to go to the risk analysis phase. See, only for these particular requirements, only for the small set of requirements which has been provided by the customer. For that requirement only we are doing all these things. In the risk analysis phase, once everything you have just analyzed and finalized, everything is okay, you can just develop, you can design and develop means, then we are just going to send it to the design phase. It will come to the design phase, and that requirements, only that small requirements is going to get designed properly, and once design and development is going to happen here itself, so the complete design and development, then it is going to the next level called evaluation. Here you are just going to test it, and then finally you are just going to release it to the customers, are going to get happen in this particular phase. So once the first set of requirements, for example, first set of requirement is done, then you are just going to take the second set of requirements, and again you are just going to plan, and you are just going to do the risk analysis. Again you are just going to do the design of the system and development of the system and testing of the system, and finally you are just going to release it to the customers. And you will take another set of requirements from the customer, and you will just analyze and plan and all those things. You will do the risk analysis, and like this you are just going to increase the requirement. Keep on, the requirements are going to get increased, and you are just going to do such kind of all the things, and finally you are just going to release the complete project to the customer. So you understood, right, why we want to go for the spiral model means in the SDL, in the waterfall model, the customer is going to provide the complete requirement in the starting itself. But here the customer is going to provide only some set of requirements only, based on the which requirements is very much clear. We are just going to develop only that particular requirements, not the complete requirements. You are just getting this point.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. So see, that is the difference between here only small requirements we are just going to get from the customer. There we are just going to get the complete requirement in one stress. So if the customer is providing the complete requirement in one stress means you can just follow the waterfall model. If the customer is not going to provide the complete requirements, he is going to provide some set of requirements means parallelly, then you can just go for the spiral models. Okay, got it, right? So tomorrow just we will see the other things, like it is also one of the spiral model, how the things is going to be. So it is going to get started, and we are going to do the risk and risk management, and we are just going to do the prototyping, designing, coding, integration, testing, implementations, and everything. Finally, it is going to get released. They have just subdivided this into some set of phases here. So that's what, like, it's going to be spiral model. So tomorrow just we will see about the other models called waterfall model and incremental model. And finally, we'll just go to the Agile model. Agile is the one which is which our companies are following right now. All the companies are following Agile model. Only few companies are following the other models.